Hello, I'm Jim Putnam. Let's jump right in and talk about these incredible garden transformations. This very first one is from Mina. It's near Denver, Colorado, and this is zone 5B. Everything about this is about to change. You can see all the play stuff in the back garden. This property didn't drain very well, and so there were issues with that right out of the gate. And you can see here's a view back from the house back out into the garden space, and you can see it's low down at the bottom, so it probably was some drainage issue here. And then look at this retaining wall, same view back out there, path put down through the middle, retaining wall up in the back, which we'll see a little bit more of in a second. Really nice seating area, and then an area up against the fence area. I love, I always talk about the art being part of the garden. Beautiful flowering things. And then look at this view back toward the house. Now keep in mind, remember the house color. The house color is completely changed. It was that kind of sandstone color of that house to the right, and now it's beautiful blue color. Plantings are absolutely amazing. I love the steps. Just what a transformation this is. And it's really funny because she said, I don't consider myself a gardener. Had to watch a ton of your videos to learn as much as I could and continue to do so. I think you would have probably, this is a great eye for design. And so I think you would have probably been done fine without me, but thank you so much for for watching the channel all this time. And here's a view up those steps to that back fence area. What an incredible transformation. Thank you so much, Mina. Popping in here real quick to thank everyone for sending in all of their great before and after photos. This has been an amazing operation for me. I did not know when I started asking for these photos how much, honestly, just how much fun I was going to have with it. I've loved opening all of your emails. I probably still have 150 or more emails that, that will be involved in these upcoming videos. You can send before and after photos to this email address right here, horttube@gmail.com, to participate. Again, thank you guys so much. Next up, we have photos from Daniel. This is in Memphis, Tennessee, zone 7B. This was actually a house that had not been lived in for a couple years back in 2011 when he purchased it. There was a photo before this one, but it's teeny tiny and I couldn't make it work for the video, but the door is literally boarded. And this is 10 years on. He's renovated the inside of the house at this point and done a little bit of landscaping on the outside, but hadn't really jumped into it here until 2021. And then look at this. This transformation out here is amazing, to a pollinator garden, and lots of interesting things going on out here. Some salvia and zinnias and other things. I love the containers, any kind of additions that aren't just the plants in the ground. A little path going through there is really nice. And then from another angle over here, you can see those dwarf zinnias. Just absolutely fantastic. All that lawn that was in this space is now gone, which you couldn't see from the first photo. It was mostly just weedy grass that had been mowed for years. And then another view down the side of the house. I love that pot on its side, looking like the plant is spilling out. Just a really nice touch. And then a path going through back to that back gate. With an absolutely incredible transformation of a house that had not gotten any love in a long time. Moved in, did the interior renovation, and then came out and really made this house a part of the community again. So thank you so much, Daniel, for sending these in. Just an amazing transformation. This is Christina in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I had back deck photos in another video. This is the 6th before and after video, and thank you guys so much for sending in these photos. I have tons and tons more to create these videos going forward, so we can all see all the different types of renovations people are doing in their gardens. It's just really amazing. But again, this is Christina over in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, a little west of me. They had this space off their driveway and need a path to get over to that turf and create what is an amazing set of steps here, with these heavy pieces and a sidewalk cutting through the middle of it. You can see the size of these stones, these 3 stones that make up this set of steps. And then look at this. Look at that. Just take a space where you're cutting through the grass all the time and turn it into this. They're still working on this project right now. They're still in the planning stages for the planting, but you can see the bones are all in place. And what an incredible change to just a space that had the turf coming up to the edge of the driveway, and just have the vision of creating 2 separate planting spaces. Again, I love lots of edges. So when you create paths through the middle of things, you create edges. So now you've got all of these 2 mulched circles where you can put lower growing things on the edges, and then you have the opportunity to put something toward the middle of these beds. It's something to really show off, which could be a seating area on one side, and it could be a Japanese maple or a weeping tree or something on the other side. But creates a lot of opportunity to use different size plant materials by cutting it up into sections. So thank you very much for sending these in again, Christina. This next set of photos is from Glenn up in Massachusetts. This is zone 5A. And you can see he's just working with truly a blank slate. This is about a 20-year project in the making. It says, "My garden is my sanctuary, and it helps me relax and decompress from the daily grind." This is a heck of a transformation that we're going to see here. There's another photo of the back of the property. Blank slate to work with, and here comes a bobcat in here to help get it going. These photos of the after were a little small, so I didn't want to blow them up completely, or they would be a bit pixelated. But I think you can see the effort that's been put in here from what we saw in those beginning photos. It's just a really incredible border created in the back of this space. I love this shed. Shown off a bunch of sheds in these videos, and these sheds can just be part of the garden. And they also, again, they create edge spaces where you can bring the bed edges up to the edge of this building and have layered heights for plants, using the shed as well. And here's straight back into that view that I think we saw from the beginning with the shed. And there's obviously some sort of entrance to a path back there. Here's a closer view of that path going back into the wooded area. And then here's a side view on the house of before. And look at this entry space you put into the side garden. That's the exact same photo, just a bare side on the wall there. And then this, and again, this fence can create a room where one side of this fence can be one garden and the outside of that fence can be another. But that's a heck of a transformation as well. So thank you so much, Glenn, for sending these in from Massachusetts. I can see why this garden is your place to relax. Jumping back in here real quick, I do have a class over on my website called the Learn to Garden video series. You purchase it once and you own it, and I'm adding content to it. I'm just going to continually add content to it for at least another year or more, and it's basically just going to be a start to finish designing spaces and planting plants, maintaining plants, disease, insects, all kinds of things that you can learn from this Learn to Garden video series. And just through the month of September, there is a $50 discount code. It's normally a $25 discount code, and it's fall50. Thanks for watching. Next up, we have Amber from Lincoln, Nebraska, zone 5B. You can see the puppy here at the beginning, and they bought this house back in 2020, and it was only grass. A few plants up there against the house. So there's clothesline, 2 clothesline posts that they took out. And they jumped right in here after they had taken that out. Did a little bit of planting up against the house here, and then it quickly expanded into this new garden space. And you can see it starting to develop here. And then look at this, just really amazing. And she credits watching my channel for using chartreuse plants. And they do show up. You see these photos and you see those pops of yellow in these garden spaces. It's not for everybody, but for those who use them, they really do show up, and they show off other things in the garden space as well. And here it is. You can see this incredible pollinator garden she's created out of what was just a turf area next to a garage. In pretty quick order, too, from buying this house in 2020 until now. And another view here with, again, a piece of garden art and some irises. And what a great space you've created along this garage in a spot that was just weedy grass. So thank you so much, Amber, for sending these in from Lincoln, Nebraska. So this is a big-time transformation. This is Stephanie over in Mebane, North Carolina, Zone 7B. Mebane is over near that Winston-Salem area that we've already seen photos from here. This front garden, you know, had this tree in the middle of the yard that was just kind of blocking the view of the house. And next photo here, we can see it's gone. And then look at this bed that was been added out toward the road area. Again, I think that we also see some changes in the house as well in these photos. The garage door is definitely different. Just this beautiful hibiscus out here. I love the really thick planting of the annuals and perennials in this front garden bed. And look at this. Look at all this color. Again, not blocking. You know, haven't blocked this. This is a house that's, you know, sitting fairly close to the ground. It doesn't have a tall crawl space, so these windows are low. There's only like one step up onto this porch, it looks like, and so, you know, you have to use smaller things. And they've just done a great job of still keeping it interesting, rather than going out and saying, hey, what one plant could I put here that wouldn't block the windows? Is really just gone and gone kind of wild with it, and it looks fantastic. Here's some other views in the garden. She also has a place on the side of the house where they built a retaining wall and created vegetable garden and raised beds, and so really have tackled this project in a big way. There's some Tithonia, is those orange flowers there. That's one that I use every year. Really, really love that. It's a Mexican sunflower, basically. It just blooms and blooms and blooms all summer long. And here's a view of that front garden bed from the other side. So what an incredible transformation. Thank you so much, Stephanie, in Mebane, North Carolina. Next up, we have Greg in Japan. He had originally sent me an email with a link to a website that he's documenting his garden development. This was an older garden. He has another garden that's in the process now around the actual house, but this was a vacant lot that was next to him, or a separate lot, and it's absolutely incredible what he did with this space. This is from the first photo was taken back in 2008, and then I think this is in 2014. Right here, the construction of this shed on this concrete. But you can really start to see this garden come together. What an absolutely incredible space. This path back to this shed, and look at this angle right here. It goes from, you know, just a weedy sort of vacant lot to this incredible garden transformation. I had sent him an email because he sent me the link to the website, and then I had him send me these photos. So hopefully he'll send us a few more in the future of his other garden that's going in as well, because it also looks great. But what an incredible transformation and an amazing building on this space as well. So thank you so much, Greg, for sending these in from Japan. Next up, we have Marianne. This is backyard that they had this really enormous tree that was, you know, in the process of, you know, of falling apart, and they jumped right in and took this down, and then put in, you know, had this corner just open up completely, and ended up putting in a serviceberry and a crabapple tree, and extending the beds, making them much larger. And then look at this. Look what she turned this corner into. I love the seating area that's been created back there. It's really lushly planted. Pollinator plants. This is, I think, back up toward the house along that fence, and this is a view from that back corner, I think, back up to the house. But look at this fenced-in space, what it became from, just having a tree absolutely dominating the space that wasn't, really all that attractive, to this incredible garden transformation. So thank you so much, Marianne. I do not know, unfortunately, where these came from, but this tree was taken down back in 2019, and this incredible garden transformation has happened since, and it really does look amazing. Thank you so much for sending them in. This next set of photos is from Daniela, and it's in Bethel, Connecticut, Zone 6. They purchased this property, and there were some large hemlocks that had just, you can see how they limbed themselves up. They may have been closer to other things at some point, and they took those down and opened up this space. One of the things she said that she had learned from the channel was using lots of diversity, and I talk about this all the time. You can see the change in this garden. Using the bigger diversity of plant material you have, the more likely you are to have the host, the host insect or whatever to control other problems within your garden. And the more of the same things you put in your garden, the more likely you are to have insect and disease problems without the control, being present. So adding tons and tons of diversity. Also said she learned about keeping the ground covered, using mulch. And that mulch breaking down, a lot of people don't want the mulch to break down because it means they have to remulch. But that mulch breaking down is actually, what is feeding the plants. And that's just the natural way these systems work. Grassy plains, a lot of the things die to the ground, and, they get broken down and feed that grassy plain the next year. And the woodlands, of course, all the leaves and sticks and critters and everything else that's dead on the forest floor are refeeding those plants as well. So all we're doing is duplicating nature. We're not trying to fight against it. Thank you so much, Daniela, for sending these in from Bethel, Connecticut. Last up, we have Bridget, right down the road from me in Cary, North Carolina. Very close. Cary used to be a little sleepy town when I was a kid, and now it's bigger than, I don't know where it ranks in North Carolina now, but it's climbing its way to the one of the more populated cities in North Carolina. And here's a house. It's very typical of plantings that we would have seen on new houses back in the 80s, where you got the liriope border around the sidewalk. You've got some sort of boxwood or holly hedge happening back here. There's some sort of upright tree back in that corner. But, it's basically what 4 plants can take care of this, and that's what they went hard with. And it looks neat and orderly, and some people would absolutely, this would be their thing. This is going to require very little maintenance, and completely understandable why somebody would want this version of a landscape. And I never ever criticize anyone's vision for what they're trying to accomplish, because you know what kind of gardener you are. Whether you want to not have to do any maintenance on this other than a few times a year, then great. This is the right landscape for you. And it looks neat and orderly. Beautiful green shrubbery in front of a gorgeous white house. It really stands out. But they came in here and started cutting these things down, getting rid of them. You can see the liriopes in bloom at the time, so this is probably a fall project when this got underway. And I don't remember if I said this is Zone 7B is where Cary is. Okay, so there they are. They've pulled them out of there and cut that tree back, whatever it is, up in that space. It might be a crepe myrtle or something, I don't know from this distance. And they got in here and started planting some things, started laying out some things. I highly recommend this approach to putting in plantings. I will go and purchase things, and then I'll lay the pots in place, and I'll live with them there for a couple days before I actually sink them in the ground, maybe move them around a few times, because sometimes you can initially have some sort of design in your mind, and then you can rearrange the pots a few times and come up with something different. But here it is now, just a completely different space. It almost seems brighter, right? Having some white flowering things and yellow flowering things and having different shades. I actually like being able to see the bottom of this porch a little bit and being able to see all of that rail. They left the liriope in place. It was doing a perfectly good job of keeping a border between that turf and that sidewalk. And then here's a view into the bed with some of the pollinator plants that they have going on, some coneflowers. It looks like some black-eyed Susans maybe up toward the top of that photo. So thank you so much, Bridget. What an incredible transformation. And now you have a garden that has, you know, lots of different species planted in it, and you have lots of different pollinators visiting your garden every day. So thanks again. So that's 10 amazing garden transformations you guys have sent in. Every one of these emails I enjoy reading. The notes are amazing. The amount of time that you guys have been watching the channel and following along, and the things that you've, you know, that I've passed on that I didn't know. I really didn't know how much of an impact you're having while you're doing this, and the fact that I see all of these pollinator gardens, and I see the diversity that you guys are adding to your gardens, and you know, taking all of that to heart, and knowing that your gardens are now part of a system, a much bigger system than just your yard. So thank you so much. And again, this is the email address to send in photos, before and after photos. Thanks for watching.